Hello and welcome. Tonight, former President Goodluck Jonathan is worried over the deepening political crisis in Nigeria, pinning the blame on court rulings, which he described as turning the cone of justice upside down. Nigeria's aviation industry takes a significant step forward as the country's score on the Cape Town Convention Compliance Index improves from 70.5% to 75.5%. And the World Bank's lead economist Alex Sinert says Nigeria is seeing positive results from the economic reforms by President Bola Tinubu's administration.
On business news tonight, 3 tiers of government share total sum of 1.298 trillion naira revenue for September as total distributable allocation rises slightly against the previous month.
On sports, the Flamingos of Nigeria thrashed New Zealand in their opening FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup clash.
And from Abuja, the nation's capital, the death toll in the Jigawa tanker explosion hits 154 as a federal delegation led by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. George Akume, visits some of the survivors in the hospital.
And in international news from London, Liam Payne, the former One Direction star, has died aged 31 in Argentina after falling from the 3rd floor of a hotel in Buenos Aires.
Former President Goodluck Jonathan has expressed worry over the deepening political crisis in Nigeria, pinning the blame on court rulings which he described as turning the cone of justice upside down. Speaking at the 67th birthday celebration and book presentation by Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Professor Michael Zekome, the former president also warned judges not to be swayed by political antics. Dr. Jonathan noted that recent court judgments in political matters have thrown the country into disarray, referencing a ruling that empowered a ward chairman to expel a national chairman of a political party. He further called on the Supreme Court to revisit the decision, stressing that such actions threaten the stability of the nation's political system. The ceremony was also attended by former President Olusegun Obasanjo, who chaired the event virtually.
If democracy will endure, the people both at the bar and the bench should not be carried away by political influence. That is the only way. And that is the only way we can stabilize the political process. I know the lawyers enjoy, immediately after election, the avalanche of litigation because it's like Christmas for lawyers. But most countries doesn't go that way. People don't go to court. But in Nigeria, pre-election matters, election matters. Fill all the courts. And this does not give a good sign for democracy. Comparing Nigeria to other African countries and some of countries outside Africa that have been able to get involved in the electoral processes. So to me, it worries me. In fact, towards the end of this month, I will be going to Botswana. I want to go and see what others do. And you come back home and see what we do. It worries us. There is a particular judgment that has been haunting, and I need to mention that, luckily I'm not a lawyer, I'm saying that from a layman view, most very senior lawyers are here, that really turn the cone upside down. And if the courts don't really look into this and rectify it, it will create so much instability in the political system that it could affect all of us.
Ahead of the November 16th governorship election in Ondo State, the Inter-Party Advisory Council is asking the Independent National Electoral Commission to draw lessons from the just concluded election in Edo State in order to perfect its logistics and collation processes. The political parties made the call at a meeting with the electoral umpire INEC in Abuja. Meanwhile, INEC has also fixed November the 8th, 2025 as the date for the governorship election in Anambra State.
The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, arrives at the commission's conference room, venue of the meeting with chairmen and secretaries of political parties. The meeting is to update leaders of political parties on preparations for the November 16th Ondo State governorship election.
Recently, our regular meetings have come on the eve of major elections. With just 29 days or 4 weeks to the Ondo State governorship election, today's meeting is no exception. Only 2 days ago, the Commission presented the register of voters to political parties in our state office in Akure. With this development, we have successfully accomplished 10 out of 13 activities listed in the timetable and schedule of activities for the election.
Beyond the Ondo State election, the Commission also announced the date for the Anambra State governorship election scheduled for next year.
As you are aware, the last governorship election in Anambra State was held on the 6th of November 2021. Consequently, the Commission has approved that the 2025 Anambra State governorship election will hold on Saturday, 8th November 2025.
However, the political parties are urging INEC to draw lessons from the Edo governorship election and perfect its logistics and collation processes in Ondo State.
Equally important is effective communication by the Commission's officials, particularly during the collation of results, to avoid suspicion of manipulation of results as it happened in the last governorship election in Edo. The Commission is required to put its act together, provide adequate electoral materials, test run its beavers and IRF portals to avoid undue technical issues and glitches that will cast doubt on the integrity of the election.
There are over 2 million registered voters in Ondo State who are expected to cast ballots in the November 16th governorship election.
75.5%, that's Nigeria's new aviation sector rating, as the country is officially removed from the Global Aviation Watch List. This is coming from the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, who is speaking during the commissioning of the Jigawa 2 Aviation Fuel Depot at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos. The minister credited the recent progress to steps taken by the government, including the signing of the Cape Town Convention Practice Direction, which propelled Nigeria's rating from 49% to 70.5% in just a month. The rating is done by the Aviation Working Group co-chaired by Boeing and Airbus.
This request, I can tell you, has been on the ground for more than 10 years in Nigeria. Nobody attended to it. They thought it was something that they didn't need to bother about. And that was why there was a policy shift in the past in Nigeria to rather assess other bigger countries to just come and help us, take over our aviation ecosystem, to say, look, we can't do it. And that was a solemn resignation to the fact that we can't do it. But this policy shift is that we can do it. We should go to the root of what happened, how those other countries who did this, what they did right, what they did well, and do the same thing. There's a gestation period, but we need to work hard at it. There's a gestation period that people have to be patient, but we are there now. We are actually arrived at our destination in terms of aircraft leasing. The gestation period will come where they will have to negotiate deals, get aircrafts into the country. We are the watchdog. We ensure that these aircrafts are protected by the practice direction and the DERA were assigned. Whoever defaults, we take the aircraft out. Come and take your aircraft so the country is safe. Once we begin to do that, you have new aircrafts, ability to service more routes. Now you can see most routes are not serviced in Nigeria in terms of most of the airports, both locally, internationally, and regionally. We can service these routes. It will lead to competitive prices. Prices will come down because more competition will bring down prices. Now we have a near monopoly really on domestic and international where prices are just shooting up anyhow.
Meanwhile, aviation fuel supply in Nigeria got a major boost with the official commissioning of a 15 million litres storage capacity aviation fuel depot built by a consortium of 7 oil companies, Eternal PLC, Masters Energy, Techno Oil, Quest Oil, Ramania, Ibafon Oil, and First Deepwater Limited, all under the Jigawa 2 Ventures Limited. At the event, the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Mr. Festus Keyamo, says the airside jet fuel depot sitting on the 46,000 square meters landmass of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport Road, Lagos, has not only created massive job opportunities, but also better placed Nigeria on an international scale as it meets ICAO's requirement of being close to major airports. The facility supports various aviation operations, including domestic, international, cargo, Hajj, business jets, and other scheduled and non-scheduled flights.
Key stakeholders in the aviation and energy sectors are here to be part of history. It's a significant day for 7 consortium partners: Etana PLC, Masters Energy, Techno Oil, Quest Oil, Rahmaniya Oil and Gas, Ibafa Oil, and First Deepwater Discovery Limited, as their dream of over a decade has culminated into the establishment of a joint user hydrant installation, a crucial storage and supply hub for aviation fuel.
It is a strategic asset designed to provide a steady, reliable supply of jet fuel to Murtala Mohammed International Airport, MM2, and nearby air bases.
For Nigeria's Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, the step taken by Jigawa 2 Ventures Limited gives massive support to Nigeria's aviation industry.
We normally experience a lot of flight cancellations, flight delays, and in some cases, that is attributable to lack of Jet A1 fuel. And so you can imagine what this will do to support the various airlines, both the local airlines and the international airlines that come into Nigeria.
From the Hall, the minister and other dignitaries go on a tour of Jigawa 2 Aviation Fuel Depot. The facility spans 46,000 square meters and a huge storage capacity.
If you look at the impressive facility, 4 huge tanks that all together it's 50 million liters, and with excellent gantry services, great laboratory to ensure that we have the right quality, excellent water hydrant system, over 3 million liters of water in terms of safety and quality. I think Jigawa 2 is ready for business.
This is just the first phase. The second phase, we're going to go into the construction of a hydrant line. We're looking at, first of all, starting from the cargo airline, and before we move further to the other international airports.
The sheer audacity by which 7 major oil companies came together to do this is very, very commendable. It's a project that has never been undertaken before in this country, and we continue to encourage such collaboration.
The management of Jigawa 2 Ventures Limited says its facilities, capacity and efficiency will continue to foster operational excellence and support for Nigeria's aviation ecosystem.
In part 2, after the break, Vice President Kashim Shettima urges global investors to take advantage of Nigeria's growing investment climate. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Former President Goodluck Jonathan is worried over the deepening political crisis in Nigeria, pinning the blame on court rulings, which he described as turning the cone of justice upside down. Nigeria's aviation industry takes a significant step forward as the country's score on the Cape Town Convention Compliance Index improves from 70.5% to 75.5%. And the World Bank's lead economist Alex Sinert says Nigeria is seeing positive results from the economic reforms by President Bola Tinubu's administration. Plans to help Nigerians tackle energy insufficiency, high cost of electricity and environmental impact have been unveiled by Daq Energy, a clean energy solutions provider. The global marketing director of the brand, Farah Wang, says every Nigerian deserves a better life. The reason Daq comes with a wide range of products for residential and industrial purposes, including the Daq Cube, as well as the all-in-one energy box.
Daq Energy prides itself in its reliability, efficiency, and clean energy solutions, and believes every Nigerian is deserving of these qualities. Whether you live in a small or large apartment, or you are a big energy consumer in a commercial or industrial scale, Daq says it's got you covered.
Yeah, this product, we name it as the first 5-in-1 solution in the world. It is well integrated with the inverters, with the batteries, and the BMS, as the PC packs, as well as the EV charger, which means that you can utilize this to supply the electricity for your home. You can get the energy storage, and you can use it to charge for your car as well.
Beyond the 5-in-1 Daq Cube, the brand also has the Daq All-in-One.
The smaller one can sustain for 1 day if you only use one light, one fan, and also your laptop to sustain for your work. And the bigger one, like 7,001, already can fulfill a family usage, like you have 2 ACs and also maybe few lights and few fans, and of course your laptop and your smartphone. And besides, we also have the CNI, which is 100 kilowatts and 215 kilowatt hour. You can run it to run your farm or maybe your factory or any other things.
The global marketing director says Daq has also taken into consideration the challenges of installation, warranty, and after-sales services.
After you already prepare the wiring and others, that the installation only takes for 15 minutes, which can reduce the challenge that the installers that are now facing. Currently, the regularly one installation takes 2 days. Our product comes with the IP66 ingress protection level, which already like anti-dust and anti-water. Yeah, and it also comes with the 5 years replacement warranty. Replacement warranty means that within 5 years, if your system occurs any issue, we will do the replacement directly. Now we already covering 36 states in Nigeria. Yeah, means that every state you already have our after-sales center.
While Nigerians continue to grapple with energy insufficiency, Daq says it's here to bridge the gap, providing cutting-edge power solutions embedded with artificial intelligence and a number of well-thought-out purchase plans.
Vice President Kashim Shettima is urging global investors to take advantage of Nigeria's growing investment climate. The Vice President made the call during a meeting with Swedish business in Stockholm, Sweden, as part of his 2-day visit to the Nordic country. According to him, the federal government has undertaken bold reforms that are restructuring the nation's economy for sustainable growth, adding that the administration's renewed hope agenda is focused on a competitive business environment that attracts foreign and domestic investments.
We are here to build relationships. We are not here with the cup in hand begging for pittance, no. We are here on a pedestal of equality as business partners, as investors, because we have what it takes. And to the Nigerian business community, very young people, they are here to consummate relationships. Allah Puts has invested in Kaduna State. They are doing well. So when you hear about Nigeria, it goes beyond the theatrics in the social media. We have our own challenges, and in the fullness of time, we are going to overcome those challenges. But it's not a nation of rocks and criminals. It's not as insecure as people are making others to believe. I can assure you that Nigeria is the place to go because of the numbers, because of the can-do spirit of the Nigerian people. Nigeria beckons at you. Nigeria is calling on you, and we are ready for business.
Back here in Nigeria, lawmakers in the upper chamber have passed a vote of confidence on the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, and the entire leadership of the Senate in the 10th Assembly. The unanimous resolution came under a matter of privilege raised by Senator Yahya Abdullahi, representing Kebbi North. Speaking against the backdrop of social media reports in the last 24 hours, which alleged that the DSS had taken over the chambers over the intended impeachment of the President of the Senate by Northern senators, Senator Abdullahi, who considered his privilege breached, described the allegations as an attempt to cause division and discord along ethnic or regional lines within the Senate.
Echoes of allegations of an impeachment plot against the leadership of the Senate still reverberates in the hallowed chamber 24 hours after. Northern senators were said to have been behind the alleged move to oust the leadership. Although the Senate president dismissed it as fake news, lawmakers were apparently uncomfortable with the development.
I consider my privilege breached for anybody to bring division across ethnic or regional lines. Is undermining the progress of our democracy and is undermining the capacity of this institution to deliver.
Unsatisfied, another lawmaker takes the matter a notch further.
I've seen no reason why such rumors should emanate. And believe you me, if there are indications that we're not comfortable with their leadership or the leadership of the Senate President, we're not going to do a fake news. We'll come frontally and tell you that we are not comfortable. Now, this is who we are.
Senator Ningi has moved a motion that a vote of confidence should be passed on the leadership of the Senate. Those in support that this vote of confidence on the Senate leadership be carried, say aye. Aye. Those against, say nay. They are not here. The ayes have it.
That done, Senator Sani Musa raises a red flag over the threat of collapse of the Zungeru Bridge, a critical federal infrastructure in Niger State, which has become a threat to human lives.
The diversion and disruption caused by the current state of the bridge has invariably restricted human and economic activities.
The resolution of the Senate, with the letter from here, I think they should give it as an urgent matter, and it should be dealt with accordingly.
We should urge the Federal Ministry of Works to utilize the contingency funds domiciled in the Federal Ministry of Works or funds domiciled in the Service Wide to cater for the immediate repairs of the Zungeru Bridge and all other bridges that are in this state of disrepair across the nation.
Meanwhile, the Senate has passed through second reading a bill for an act to establish Factoring Assignment Act, seeking to increase companies' cash flows and enhance credit management for micro, small and medium-scale businesses in the country. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuki, Channels Television News.
The World Bank believes the economic reforms of President Bola Tinubu's administration are yielding positive results. Now, the bank's country director, Mr. Ndiame Diop, stated this during the launch of the Nigeria Development Update in Abuja. The update, which is released every 6 months, provides an assessment of recent economic developments, the outlook for the economy and policy options to help accelerate Nigeria's economic transformation. Our correspondent Benny Ark reports.
This is a presentation of the biannual World Bank report on the state of Nigeria's economy, tagged Nigeria Development Update. Those present include some members of the Federal Executive Council, Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State, Governor of the Central Bank, Mr. Yemi Cardoso, business leaders, financial market experts, and the World Bank team.
It feels so good.
The World Bank team gives an update of the state of the nation's economy, applauding the progress made so far.
We are seeing encouraging signs of progress, like the improved fiscal position driven by higher revenues, a reduction in borrowing from ways and means, and a stronger external position with rising foreign reserves. In sum, the reforms that have started in mid-2023 have clearly helped prevent a fiscal crisis, and they are stabilizing the Nigerian economy.
Where we are now is that major policy reforms are starting to yield positive results, as Ndiame mentioned. If we take a look, GDP, so the aggregate output of the economy, has actually been pretty resilient if we think about the amount of volatility and uncertainty that has been the case of late, and that's as a result of quite robust growth and activity in some of the services sectors and a stabilization in the oil sector.
However, Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State has a contrary view.
Yes, we will need the reform.
One of the lead economists said there are this perception of compromise or conspiracy. Yes, that is it. But you have to do your job. I agree with you. With all the numbers, all the data you doled out, these policies are not working. Review them. Let us have food on the table. I know you have the capacity and the knowledge. Let us not stay in Abuja and be talking that the reforms are working. With all humility and modesty, they are not.
While the World Bank team urges the government to continue the reform, the Minister of Finance and the Governor of the Central Bank stressed the importance of committing to reforms.
It takes time to do reforms. So what started on May 29, 2023, was moved, taken from one place, tried to rear its head in another place, and it is finally extinguished. We have market pricing of PMS. And with that, there's huge benefit not only to NNPC, which was bearing the brunt, but to the economy as a whole, including the state governments and the local governments. It is market pricing. In the same way you have market pricing of foreign exchange.
We had projected, looking ahead, that this was going to happen and that it was important for us to be timely enough and take the preemptive step to minimize the impact. And our expectation is that in spite of the increase you've seen, the slight increase you've seen in inflation, we are positive that there are likely to be better outcomes in the future.
In all, the World Bank calls for continued fiscal discipline to consolidate gains and maintain economic stability. Benny Ark, Channels Television News.
Still ahead on the news at 10. 3 tiers of government share a total sum of 1.298 trillion naira revenue for September as total distribution allocation rises slightly against the previous month. That's on Business News. Please join us again. Welcome back. Let's now head to the nation's capital, and Gloria Amizoke is standing by to give us the very latest from Abuja studios. Over to you, Gloria.
Thank you, Ayo. We begin on a not-too-cheery note as more victims of the Jigawa tanker explosion have died while receiving treatment, raising the death toll to 154. According to the police, the public relations officer, Mr. Lawan Adam, over 100 persons are still hospitalized. Meanwhile, a federal delegation led by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. George Akume, visited some of the victims in the hospital.
Residents of Majia community in Taura local government area of Jigawa state are still coming to terms with the devastation that claimed over 150 lives from the petrol tanker explosion in the area. The latest visitors to the community are from the federal government. The delegation led by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. George Akume, are here to commiserate with the families who lost loved ones. He delivers the President's message to the victims, stating that the government plans to investigate the incident to avert a repeat.
The President himself has directed immediate investigation of what has happened by the Federal Road Safety Commission, not just incident, but other similar ones in the country. The whole purpose is to reduce, as it were, the number of fatalities that occasion on our roads virtually on a daily basis. The President is saddened by this unfortunate development, and he has already directed some agencies to move into action, like Nema DG is also all here. They have already started work, and another agency is going to follow suit.
Again, the need for enlightenment on the danger of scooping petroleum products from falling tankers and similar situation is highlighted by the delegation.
It's about more information dissemination in our communities about the danger of tanker explosion, oil spillage, containment. So it's about passing more information about the dangers and hazards of this thing, which will deepen and continue to do.
The delegation later paid a condolence visit to the Emir of Ringim. The delegation also has a mandate from the president to ensure that the incident is investigated, and the Corps Marshal of the Federal Road Safety Corps plans to do much more than just the investigation.
We are going to continue to intensify and improve on our safety measures for conveying petroleum product and other products, preloading, well loading, and post-loading, so that we get rid of all the carnage that is happening in our Nigerian road. That will assure Nigerians that we are going to intensify and improve on it.
The House of Representatives is calling for enhanced provision of legal and institutional framework and professional capacity for public procurement in the country. The House reached the resolution after adopting a motion by Honorable Uyime Idem, drawing attention to what he describes as poor budgeting for the Bureau of Public Procurement. The House is concerned that the existing funding provided for the Bureau is grossly inadequate to meet the extensive responsibilities of the Bureau and ensure procurement audits, monitoring and surveillance in the over 800 MDAs and the 6 geopolitical zones of the nation.
The House notes the need for the attainment of transparency, competitiveness, cost-effectiveness, value for money, and professionalism in the public sector procurement system. Also notes that the Public Procurement Act 2007 established Bureau of Public Procurement as the regulatory authority responsible for the monitoring and oversight of public procurement, harmonizing the existing government policies and practices by regulating, setting standards, and developing the legal framework and professional capacity for public procurement in Nigeria. Further notes that the Bureau is empowered to, among other things, oversight over 800 ministries, departments, and agencies, MDS, to ensure the implementation of established procurement policies and due process compliance. Recognizes the need to ensure monitoring and surveillance of federal government procurement procedures and ongoing projects across the 6 geopolitical zones. Aware that the budget allocation for the Bureau in the Appropriation Act 2024 is only 2 billion naira, 2.2 billion naira.
International investment and holding company, the Tropical General Investments Group, is advocating more rural inclusion to drive economic growth and prosperity. The vice chairman of TGI Group, Mr. Farouk Gumel, stated this in Abuja during a dinner organized to address rural inclusion in the area. Among dignitaries present is the Chief of Defense Staff, the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, past government officials, among others.
This is part of the contribution of the Tropical General Investments Group to the growth and development of Nigeria's rural area. Among the dignitaries present are past and serving government officials, head of security agencies, top industry players, among others. The guest speakers take turns to add their views on the issue.
Most times when you go to these villages, you wonder there is no sign of governance. None. None. Some communities you go to, you wonder where they have been to. So you see, it's easier for these guys to be influenced by others, coming to tell them, look, the government is far off. We are here. We can do this for you. We can provide food. We can provide medical. We can provide. So why do you need government? To one side of the cashless drive or that cashless thing that a lot of people say was devastating. You know, typically when you announce that by December 30th, these notes are no longer legal tender, you know, in the rural areas, a good 3 weeks before then, you know, just over the line.
Serving ministers also speak on the federal government's intervention in ensuring rural development.
It was very easy for us when, with your brilliance, you designed the Anchor Borrowers program. We embraced it quickly. In the first cropping season, we have at least 40% who are producing 4 tons per hectare.
The vice chairman of the group speaks on the next action of the group.
We have the heads of our security agencies, some of the former heads of our intelligence agencies sitting in the same room, talking about how some of the progress they've made in bringing peace and stability in rural Nigeria, and the intelligence and the inclusive community engagement contributed to that peace. And now to sustain that peace, more engagement needs to happen. Those rural people that have been pacified, that are now sitting there trying to earn a living, need to be pushed further into that earning a living so that they have something to lose. And hopefully these conversations that we're having will further contribute and enhance that relationship between the urban wealth, like I said, and the rural production centers who in some instances have been left behind.
The management of the company hopes that the discussions here will drive increased campaign for rural inclusion in Nigeria.
That's it from the nation's capital. Let's head over now to Dominic Iwiwu in Lagos for business news.
Thank you, Gloria. Welcome to Business News. 1.298 trillion naira. That's the total sum shared as revenue distribution to the federal, state, and local governments by the Federation Accounts Allocation Committee. The amount, which comprises statutory revenue from value-added tax, electronic money transfer levy, and other sources, is higher by over 95 billion naira when compared with the 1.203 trillion naira distributed in August. A brief breakdown of the increased revenue distribution report released by the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation shows that the federal government received 424.86 billion naira, state governments got 453.72 billion naira, while local governments received 329.86 billion naira. However, the amount distributed is 13% or as 13% of mineral derivation revenue to relevant states was slightly lower than the previous month at 90.41 billion naira. The executive of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria has paid a courtesy visit to the global headquarters of Channels Media Group in Lagos. The team, led by its president, Otumba Francis Mesioye, was received by the chairman of Channels Media Group, Dr. John Momo, and other members of the management. The essence of the visit is to build closer ties with the media as they seek to make the country's manufacturing sector more competitive to drive economic growth.
When I say competitiveness, you find this very important. I've emphasized it a couple of times here. Because if you are doing anything and you're not competitive, you're likely to be overtaken by someone else who has edge over you. And Nigeria manufacturing business was thriving at a point in time. It was really moving very good. You have the kind of tech service. For those people who are familiar with the KG industry in the past, in the 70s, you will see a number of workers by 1 p.m., 2 p.m., in the night, by 9, 10 p.m. This was in the past. You don't see that kind of thing again. All the sectors, the industrial area of the KGs have been overtaken by some other things that are not related to industrial functions. So what man is doing to really engage with all stakeholders in the government, both nationally and internationally, that to assist us in developing policies that will grow our industry. What we've been trying to do is to have input. We will be having our AGM in about next week precisely. We're starting on the 22nd, Tuesday, through to Thursday. It will be a 3 days event that showcase made in Nigeria products. Okay, it will be clear upon on Tuesday by the Acting Director General of Bureau of Public Procurement and Olusegun Omotola, I think, and that's for the Thursday. We're going to have display of made in Nigeria products of various kinds.
Another loss was recorded at the domestic stock market today as investors continue to take off profits on some high-value stocks on the NGX. John Makwa has the details.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the stock market report. Well, the negative trade continues at the NGX today with 128 billion naira lost from the market cap. even though we're still on 59 trillion naira. That means that the market closed 0.21% in the red at 98,081.38. Aradel is still in the news, staying in the negative side. Today, the market opened at 772 naira, but closed at 694 naira. That means that it lost 77 naira 20 kobo. Investors seem really determined to take profits from this newbie into the NGX. Let's look at the sectors now. Banking continues the downward trend, 0.57% today, only because of GTCO. Consumer goods slightly up there. Honeywell, Flour, and Goldberry, while oil and gas is in the green, really looking good because of corn oil and eternal oil. It does seem like Aradel doesn't have a lot of impact right there, at least at this time. So for today, once again, it's the bear.
And that's it on business news. Back to Ayo for the rest of the news at 10.
Many thanks, Dominic. Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar has been killed in Gaza. The news was broken by Israeli Foreign Minister Israel Katz a while ago. Well, he says the Hamas leader was killed by Israeli soldiers today. Now, reacting to the news, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Sinwar destroyed Israeli lives and that now he is dead. Well, Hamas will no longer control the territory. Sinwar was identified through analysis of his dental records and his fingerprints, the DNA records Israel has, because Sinwar was jailed in Israel for 22 years. Here's Sam Puser with more international news in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Liam Payne, the former One Direction star, has died at the age of 31 in Argentina after falling from the 3rd floor of a hotel in Buenos Aires. In a statement, police said they discovered Payne's body after an emergency crew responded to a call in the upscale neighborhood of Palmero on Wednesday. Officers at the scene were initially responding to reports of an aggressive man who may have been under the effects of drugs and alcohol. Fans of the singer held an overnight vigil outside the hotel in Buenos Aires, where he was found dead.
She's a massive icon, so to have someone support like that for us, you know, we just feel like we're just some young lads getting looked.
Payne had risen to global fame as part of the much-loved boy band created on the X Factor TV show in 2010, along with Harry Styles, Louis Tomlinson, Niall Horan, and Zayn Malik. The US says it has carried out precision strikes against 5 weapons storage locations in areas of Yemen controlled by the Houthi movement.
We've launched.
Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said B-2 Spirit stealth bombers were part of the operation that targeted hardened underground facilities housing missiles and other munitions that the Iran-backed group had used to attack civilian and military ships. He added the strikes demonstrated the ability of the US to hit facilities that adversaries sought to keep out of reach. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has presented his so-called victory plan to the European Union and NATO, pitching for a NATO membership invitation and a major increase in military support for Kyiv's campaign against Russia's invasion. President Zelensky and EU leaders first gathered for a group photo during the summit in Brussels. His plan contains requests the Ukraine's allies have so far declined to grant, such as a call for invitation to join the NATO military alliance and permission to use Western weapons deep inside Russia.
You can help make this a reality.
The plan, he says, could end the war no later than next year. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump has stood by debunked claims that immigrants in Ohio were eating pets, telling Latino voters during a town hall meeting that he was just saying what was reported.
That's been in the newspapers and reported pretty broadly.
Mr. Trump in recent weeks has amplified a false claim that has gone viral that Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, were stealing residents' pets or taking wildlife from parks for food. There have been no credible reports of Haitians eating pets, and officials in Ohio, including Republicans, have repeatedly said the story is untrue. Meanwhile, the Democratic Vice President Kamala Harris has been grilled in a TV interview on the Biden administration's efforts to tackle a surge in illegal immigration at the southern border.
That's the early days. So do you owe them an apology, is what I'm saying.
I will tell you that I am so sorry for her loss.
In a combative interview with Fox News host Brett Baier, Harris was asked to defend the administration's early decision to reverse some of Republican rival Donald Trump's restrictive policies and to respond to a mother who testified in Congress about the loss of her child at the hands of an illegal immigrant. The interview was part of a direct appeal by Harris to Republican voters in this year's US presidential election. And Sydney beaches, including the iconic Bondi Beach, have been closed to bathers after hundreds of black balls suspected to be toxic washed up on the city's shores. Waverley Council said it had closed Bondi, Bronte and Tamarama beaches as a precaution, while neighbouring Randwick Council has closed an additional 4 beaches. Clean-up crews were seen on the closed beaches collecting the debris, dressed in orange protective gear. Preliminary testing suggests the mystery items were tar balls made up of lumps of oil and debris.
A couple of days now where we identified floating debris coming in, thousands of small, approximately golf-sized black balls floating into Coogee. What we've received is it involves some form of hydrocarbon, but there'll be more to say from the New South Wales EPA as it relates to that. What I will say is that we'll be working very hard to have this situation resolved as quickly as possible and to have our beaches cleaned. It's a beautiful, lovely spring day, and obviously we want to get back as soon as possible onto the sand and in the water.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Many thanks indeed, Simon, and welcome to Sports News. It was indeed a fantastic start for the under-17 Nigeria's girls, and head coach Bankole Olokere has commended the Flamingos for their brilliance in the 4-1 win against New Zealand in their opening Group A match at the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup in the Dominican Republic. The coach says the win is a good start, and they are even hungry for more when they face Ecuador in the next group game on Saturday. Nigeria are top of the group with a superior goal difference ahead of Ecuador, who defeated the hosts 2-0.
Something a little different from Nigeria this time, and they get a third goal. Farida Abdul Wahad. We haven't yet played half an hour. Headed towards goal, loops over the goalkeeper, and it is a 4th goal for Nigeria.
It was a good game, well executed in our plan. That's what we planned, to win our first match. But this first match at World Cup, very, very important. So we make it count by getting the maximum point, the 3-point, and I will score more of a goal of 4 goals, which is okay for the girls. And congratulations to Nigerians, wherever they might be. I mean, watching the match from yesterday and listening to me now. These girls, they are not made yet. They are just coming up gradually. So mistake is inevitable. They can make mistake at any time. And that's what we are working on. The most important, I said that on my earlier interview, that most important this team is that we can score more goals. So we've tried to prevent as many goals we can prevent, but what we can be sure of is more goals that we can score.
Let's turn our attention now to the Nigeria Premier Football League. Rivers United extended their unbeaten run to 7 games following a 2-0 win over Shooting Stars in Port Harcourt, the Rivers State capital, earlier today. With the win, the Pride of Rivers reclaimed the top spot in the league with 117 points. They are closely trailed by Remo Stars, who lost to Plateau United 3-1 at the new Jos Stadium. Katsina United defeated Aqua United 1-0 through Aziz Falalu's 27th minute strike, and Bendel Insurance beats Bayelsa United 3-0, while at the Dan Anyam Stadium, Owerri, Ikorodu City and host Heartland played out a 1-0 draw. Outside our shores, Paris Saint-Germain has extended head coach Luis Enrique's stay to 2027. The Spaniard joined PSG in 2023 on a 2-year contract, guiding the Parisians to a domestic double and last 4 Champions League finish in his first season in charge. Away from football now, legendary former basketball player Michael Jordan's game-worn red jersey from the 1996 to 1997 basketball championship season with the Chicago Bulls is going on the Sotheby's shopping block on October 23rd in New York, which is expected to fetch $4 to $6 million as part of the colossal The Ultimate Jordan Collection auction. In addition to the red jersey, Sotheby's is also auctioning 2 white Chicago Bulls jerseys, a flag that the player wore when he received his gold medal in the 1992 Olympics, and a warm-up top and sneakers from his days at the University of North Carolina.
This was really one of the most popular items of clothing in the entire world at the time. You could see children walking around with the red Michael Jordan jersey, the championship logo, and it was from the 50th anniversary season, so you can see on the jersey that there is a gold emblem on it, which is one of the only instances of this happening ever with NBA jerseys. So it's a very special jersey. It's one of a kind, and it's estimated to go for $4 to $6 million.
And that's your sports news. I'm Kelly Egigas Bankaya today.
Thank you, Kelly. And the main news again. Former President Goodluck Jonathan today said he is worried over the deepening political crisis in Nigeria, pinning the blame on court rulings, which he described as turning the cone of justice upside down. Nigeria's aviation industry has taken a significant step forward as the country's score on the Cape Town Convention Compliance Index improved from 70.5% to 75.5%. And the World Bank's lead economist Alex Sennett has said Nigeria is seeing positive results from the economic reforms by President Bola Tinubu's administration. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde. Have a good night. Please stay safe.